Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
And hello and good morning, everybody. I'm Isaiah Rosario here. Solo today, my co-host Nick Waltieri unfortunately could not make it today, but he will be back next week. And we're going to be recapping everything that happened in professional sports and college this past weekend. Again, the number one storyline was Garrett Wilson and the New York Jets are probably, at least in the New York area, arguably some of the worst run organizations I think I've seen in a long time. You go up against a defense with the Dallas Cowboys who have been absolutely atrocious all year. They lost their key pass rusher and they've let up a lot of points this year. Let's just look quickly at how many points these Cowboys have given up. I mean, against a Packers team who has a good offense, they dropped 40, and then the Bears 31, the Giants 40. It's again, the Eagles was a weird case. 24 isn't terrible, but again, you have to figure out how to score on that offense. You can't be scoring that late and scoring 16 points in that fourth quarter and only 6 the rest of the way. And it looked like it was going to be a close game until that second quarter. We got outscored 20-0. I mean, that was atrocious. I'm talking about another atrocious team in the AFC East is the Miami Dolphins. God knows what that dumpster fire is. I think I talk about it week after week. They just need to clean house, and somehow they still manage to find a way to still not manage to clean house. They still let everyone play. They still let Mike McDaniel coach, and that's one thing I still don't understand is how you could let him coach and be the coach of a mediocre team who loses to the Panthers. You lose to Bryce Young, a team that's I 2-3 in the AFC South. Their only other win this year is coming off a Falcons team who has no offense at all. Surprising, they whooped them 30-0. But again, that's a Panthers team with nothing to look forward to, and you still manage to find a way to lose. When you have Jalen Waddle in your offense, you have great defensive line. I know you have Jordan Brooks back on defense, and you have Waddle on offense. You have Devon Achane, and you have good pieces. It just I don't know what it takes to put 1 and 2 together, but you still figure out something. But you can't figure out anything. You're 0-4 this year, which is hysterical. Or 1-4, excuse me, which is hilarious to me. And you beat the Jaguars. I mean, not the Jaguars, excuse me. You beat the Jets. So last week, schedule's all mixed up. I was looking at the preseason there. But again, you beat a Jets team who's also another dumpster fire. So there's nothing to look forward to for those AFC teams. And then another team that has a lot to look up to now is the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. Their defense looked really good against the Justin Herbert led offense. And with Jaden Daniels back, he didn't look as great in the first quarter, but in that second quarter and on, he did really well. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to expect, especially because he was coming off an injury. But again, no points scored in that first quarter and then going and outscoring them by 27 yesterday in the second, third, and fourth, and holding the defense holding the Chargers offense to 0 points. That's a huge momentum booster for the Commanders. And I think the Commander season is definitely looking up now. They look good. I mean, and you still have the Bears coming up, so you should be 4-2 after next week. And then the following, you have the Cowboys, which you should win. And then a Monday Night Football game, Commanders Chiefs, to end October on Halloween week. That's going to be a good game. The Chiefs again have their game tonight against the Jaguars. I think that's going to also be a very good game. But again, I think if you're looking at the Commander schedule, you're looking up. You have a couple tough games going into November. And then December, I mean, I would think, an easy schedule. So once you get past this little 5-game stretch, you'll be looking good going into December. So, I mean, Daniels looks great. Debo looks like a better acquisition week after week. 1 touchdown, 96 receiving yards. And then no carries. I know they utilize him sometimes in the carries. And again, that rookie, Bill Krosky Merritt, he's going to be good. 150 yards, 111 receiving, and having 39 receiving yards. So the Commanders are looking up. And I got to also talk about the game of the week. The Buccaneers versus Seattle Seahawks. That was just a shootout, a classic shootout of two QBs that careers didn't start great because they were not placed in the best scenarios. Again, they were good QBs. And then you get Baker Mayfield starting his career in Cleveland, and then you get Sam Darnold starting in the Jets. And that's something not ideal. And then the last few years of their career has been iffy. And then they really took the leap forward these last 2 years. Sam Darnold with the Vikings, and then ever since Baker went to the Bucks, it was a night and day kind of thing. But like obviously, it was great to see both of those QBs do well. But if you're the NFC right now, I would be scared of the Buccaneers. They're a team, and again, they didn't even have Bucky Irving. They replaced him with Rashad White, who's another great, great running back. I mean, he's obviously not going to get his chances when Bucky Irving comes back. But again, that offense is scary. But the only thing I'm worried about if you're the Bucks is their defense is not the greatest. I mean, holding the Texans to 20 points is good, but again, the Texans have been a little bit iffy this year, letting 27 points up to the Jets, 31 to the Eagles, and 35 to the Seahawks. That's the one thing that would only scare me if you're the Bucks fans. But yeah, I mean, the offense is good. You're going to have to outscore this team if you want to win. Like 38, and they had how many in that fourth quarter? 10 in that fourth quarter, 15 in the third. So they're scoring on a good amount of their possessions. They were scored in every single quarter yesterday. And if you're Seattle, I think it was a good game for you guys. You just got to tighten up a little bit on defense. They didn't allow a rushing touchdown before that game, but again, you're going against a power horse offense in the Buccaneers. So there's really nothing you could really do there on that end, but hey, what can you do? And then that was also one of the best jersey matchups I think I've ever seen, the Seattle throwbacks and the creamsicle Bucks jerseys. So clean. I think there was nothing that could have beat those two jerseys in a matchup too. And obviously it was a home game for Seattle, so they could have been wearing the throwbacks, and then the Bucks could have been wearing their away jerseys or neutral jerseys. But they decided to go with the classic, and then CBS also having the scorebug with the retro logos, which so cool to see. And I'm glad that I got to be able to see that because that was a great matchup. And Emeka Ibuka is a dog. He's a steal for every fantasy owner, and he's going to be, I think, the clear wide receiver one once Mike Evans comes back. I don't think you could find a way to lower his targets. I mean, he's ridiculous. It's insane what this kid could do on 7 targets, 7 receptions, 163 receiving yards, which is insane as a rookie too. And I think he's going to be the clear wide receiver one now once Evans comes back, and he's going to be good. He's going to be a great player. And then Tedero McMillan is also another great rookie wide receiver. I think those are the top 2 right now in the 2025 rookie class. So that's something to look forward to if you're at least the Panthers, because there's not a lot to look forward to in Carolina. But talking about good jerseys also, those rival jerseys of the Buffalo Bills are some of the nicest and cleanest ones I've ever seen. And doing that on possibly one of the last Sunday night football games in Highmark Stadium really just was like, wow, seeing the whole stadium in white, everyone wearing those rival jerseys. It just looks so clean. It's so icy, as people like to call it. But again, they were unable to get over the hump because Drake May, he is something. I was talking to my co-host last week about the New England Patriots, and they're obviously not the most talented team on paper, but they have Drake May as QB, and Stephon Diggs said even pregame that it reminds him of a smaller Josh Allen because of the confidence that he has, the throwing ability that he has, and he had that insane throw in the fourth quarter where he was about to get sacked and just chucked it over to Stephon Diggs, who had a monster game, which was obviously very, very expected. His homecoming back to Buffalo and not ending there on the best of terms, but Stephon Diggs also had a monster, crazy game. Let's just check. I know he had over 100 yards. Double check that. Yeah, 146 yards, which is absolutely insane. Each reception went for an average of almost 15 yards. So Drake May was looking at him and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna hit you." And no touchdowns, 10 receptions though. He's been killing it. these last couple games. I mean, I think he was 80 last game too, as well. No, he had over 100 against Carolina. Excuse me. But yeah, no, he's picking it up, and that's going to be Drake May's obviously wide receiver one. There's no there's no question about whether or not he's gonna get the receptions because now he knows that they could have. Oh wow, I accidentally had my volume on to see the show. So excuse me for that. But again, it's things are looking up in Patriot land right now. I think um, things are just looking good. I mean, Vrabel's doing a great job coaching over there. I think that was a the coaching change that they needed. Someone younger, obviously, but someone who has a different coaching style than Belichick because they brought in a coach who was coaching with Belichick before Vrabel. And I think that was the difference they needed because Vrabel's, again, been around the game for a long time, both as a player and as a coach. So I think he'll do relatively well for the Patriots. They're going to be an up and coming team these next few years. I don't really expect them to do much, but again, they hold the tiebreaker over Buffalo as of right now. But again, who knows? I mean, so let's just also double check their schedule to see what they look like going into the rest of October. They got the Saints, which should be a win. They got the Saints, which should be a win. Excuse me. They got the Titans, which should be the win. A Browns, which should be a win. I mean, they have a not terrible schedule. I mean, they could make some noise and be a wild card team. And they're buying until week 14, and they're 3-2 right now. They have one of the best offenses in the league, scoring 25 points per game, 15 touchdowns, and they're a good offense, and their defense is really good as well. Their rushing defense and their defensive line has been great all year. One of the best lines when it comes to stopping the rush, and a lot of the teams that they could be facing. Let me just double check again who the RB1s are. Like you got Alvin Kamara for the Saints, which they should do well with. And then the Patriots have a couple good backs. Falcons obviously got Bijan. Bucks got Rashad. They got Bucky Irving. The Jets got Brees. So if they could hold the run game of those teams, they'll be looking good going into December. And looking at all the other games, there's really no key mark games. The Colts continue to still cook under Daniel Jones. I know Giants fans are not very happy about that. But the other key storyline, I think, of this week in terms of the NFL is the Broncos beating the Eagles. And the last 5 drives of the game, you don't get a single point if you're the Eagles, which obviously cannot happen. They want to look to get the passing game more involved, which they did. Jalen Hurts had 38 attempts for 280 yards. But again, when it's Saquon you have in the backfield and you're up, you should be running the ball, trying to waste clock and trying to get him utilized. You should not be having 6 carries at all. That's not what you're doing. If you have the offensive player of the year on your team in the backfield, you should be giving him the ball and causing time to run out, not trying to just toss up some balls and try to get some scores going when you're up. You're up 17 at one point. So that's something you really can't be doing. And then getting outscored 18-0 in that fourth quarter was disgusting. I mean, if that was a win for the Eagles, but again, their offense has looked iffy. I mean, AJ Brown has been complaining all year about not getting targets. I mean, he had 8 targets today or yesterday, excuse me, for 43 yards. And some of the throws, there was one throw downfield where he kind of slowed down. And then if that's like the core of your frustration, that's not something that you should be really complaining about because that's more or less on you rather than it is on Jalen Hurts. But again, Jalen Hurts doesn't have the best arm. It's more of a rush heavy team. And you know when you're rushing, you're going to win because you have Saquon in the backfield. And then it opens up really the man coverage on AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith had a great game as well. 8 receptions for 114 yards. Each reception went for an average of about 14. So he looked fine. I mean, the Eagles offense, again, they're going to be fine. It's just one slip in the path to success. But again, all their games have been really close. They could all flip the other way very easily, losing by only 6 to the Bucks, losing by only 7 to the Rams, which was that blocked field goal. for a touchdown. That could have easily been the Rams win. The Chiefs also was close. So, I mean, you're playing in a lot of close games. I don't know if that's something you want to look forward to if you're an Eagles fan. You should be blowing out some of these teams because, again, you're the reigning Super Bowl champions. And yeah, it should not, again, the Cowboys game, it shouldn't be close. Like, that's one thing. And Dak threw for under 200 yards that game. It should not be close as it is. But those Eagles, I mean, they look very beatable. It's a weird scenario right now. But we'll see. I think that's gonna wrap it up for the NFL. No other games I want to really just speak about. I think I've hit the nail on the coffin of all of them. Let's double check. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna go over to the MLB, and we had the first games of the divisional round on Saturday, and then Sunday yesterday we had the ALDS and the divisional round. And looking at Saturdays, when we're going to discuss the NL first because they play again tonight. The Dodgers and the Phillies. I think looking at that series, like you hit Shohei Ohtani early, and then you really don't do anything after that. If you hit him early, I would think you would have a chance, but you go scoreless the rest of the way, and the Dodgers score 5 in the 6th and the 7th to win that game. I mean, I think the Dodgers are the Dodgers. I think they're the team to beat right now in the MLB. They look good. They still have a great rotation. They're gonna be just fine. You have, I believe, Blake Snell going on the bump for them today. Yep, Blake Snell, who pitched phenomenal against the Phillies last year, a few weeks back, who's been a workhorse for them. And then you're gonna look at game 3. You believe you're gonna have Glass now, Yamamoto on the bump, who pitched really well for them in the wild card, pitching almost 7 innings, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts. So again, I think the Dodgers are the team to beat. They have the pitching, they have the lineup. I think the Phillies run is over. The only shot they have to win the series is if they win today. It's tough to come back down 2-0 against the Dodgers team who's good all around. Their pitching has been at least this regular season they've been kind of mid. But again, they're the team to beat. They have the most well-rounded lineup right now, but a team that also looks great right now. And as you can see, the hat hurts to say, the Toronto Blue Jays have been absolutely smacking the New York Yankees around. It's not even been fun to watch. I think I turned off my TV after that third inning there. I was like, yeah, they're not coming back and winning, but scoring 7 runs later in that game was a good sign. But again, you're down 2-0 now. You go home with Rodon and Schlittler on the bump. And I mean, the only hope for the Yankees is I don't even know really. I mean, it's terrible. The pitching hasn't done anything, and I don't know. You hope and pray you force a game 5 because it's whoever feels the best on that day is going to win the game. And I don't know. I mean, with Rodon, I feel confident. Hopefully, they could pull out a win today or tomorrow. They could pull out a win and then hopefully force a game 5. I don't know. But then we're gonna flip the switch because it's the Yankees are the Yankees. The Mariners and the Tigers. That's gonna be a good series. It's gonna be a very pitching focused matchup, and it's gonna be interesting because I think the way it's lined up and the way it's rested. I mean, if it wasn't for Jorge Polanco yesterday, the Mariners would not have won that game, hitting 2 home runs, and then you get the Julio Rodriguez winning double in the bottom of the 8th against Finnegan. But again, it's a weird case scenario because if you're the Mariners, you really don't want to force a game 5 because you're most likely going to face Tariq Skubal for that game 5 because he's going to be on rest. And again, he's going to win the Cy Young, and he pitched relatively well besides Jorge Polanco, who had obviously his numbers hitting two home runs yesterday. Um, and again, I would think the Mariners are okay now. They got back the home field advantage, sort of. I mean, you lost the game 1 at home, which is never ideal. But again, you've got the series tied at 1, facing, let's see who's on the bump tomorrow for the Tigers. And again, the Mariners rotation is ridiculous, so that they'll be fine pitching wise. Jack Flaherty. So I think the Tigers could easily lose game 3. Flaherty is a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that he's good enough to really stop this Mariners offense. With Raleigh, who's really been struggling against Jack Flaherty. Yeah, all these players on the roster really don't have great numbers against Flaherty, but again, it's the playoffs. Anything could really change. But again, that series I think is going to go 5. No matter what happens, I think it's going to get split again in Detroit. So it'll be 2-2 going into Seattle for Game 5. And I think it's going to be Detroit out on top only because it's Tariq Skubal. That man is going to win Cy Young and he's going to win it handily. And then Garrett Crochet is going to be the number 2. Again, another great pitcher. And then the last series, I think it's going to be a 3-game sweep. I think it's going to be the Brewers winning all 3. Brewers are days better than the Cubs. I think Game 1 really showed that. It's going to be a bloodbath. I think they're still at home. Game 2, winning Game 1. It's their rotation is on the up, but their lineup is something to be reckoned with. They're good. And I think they're going to win in 3 games. I don't think it's going to be difficult. I mean, they had the early lead in that first inning on Saturday from that leadoff home run from Michael Busch, but then you give up 6 runs in that bottom of the first, and you give up 3 runs in the bottom of the second. So I think it's going to be a quick and easy 3 games for the Brewers. I don't think there's going to be really any issue there. And again, it's every day now we get playoff baseball, so that's something that you love to really see and enjoy. But then we're also winding down with the baseball season, which is sad because baseball season is one of the best seasons. But in a few weeks, we're also getting the NBA, so that's going to be exciting. College basketball is going to be back in beginning of November, so that's another thing I'll be able to talk about, which I'm also excited for. A lot of good teams in the college basketball season this year. And talking about college, I'm going to talk about a couple of ranked teams losing. That was the big storylines this week, and I think the number one has to be Penn State losing to UCLA. That was the worst game I think I've ever looked at for Penn State. You can never seem to beat that Power 4 team easily. It's always something with them. And it was from the start. I think it was UCLA's game. They had a blowout to kind of mock Penn State, and their fans were just not in attendance for it. But you still managed to find a way to win after firing a good amount of the coaching staff last week to beat a number 7 ranked team in Penn State. And Drew Aller has not looked great to start the year, losing to Oregon in the whiteout game. And they, out of the top 25 now, fell all the way out of the AP poll. They were receiving some votes. They were like 27th, I think, 28th in the rankings. But again, I think that loss right there eliminates you from playoff contention. There's no way to come back from that loss. That's a really bad loss. And another bad loss as a ranked team. There's not the worst one of the week. I think Penn State is, but another bad one coming up I'll talk about in a few minutes. Another bad loss is Iowa State. Seems to can't get a single stop on defense when they needed to. It was just a bloodbath offensively for ISU. I mean, they both scored relatively well. Both almost had 500 yards of offense. But again, they couldn't get a stop when they needed to. Cincinnati led by, at most 24 in that game. And you're going in expected to win. They believe they were favored to win that game, but not by a lot. So, but again, you're allowing almost 500 yards of offense to a Cincinnati team. I get it. They're 4-1 right now, 4th in the Big 12, but they're not going to get ranked. And that's a team you should beat. And that's another game that eliminates you from college football playoff contention. That's a win. That should be. I mean, I don't know if it eliminates them, but again, it's going to be tough. Again, it's have to win out and see what you do in January for the playoffs, in December for the playoffs. But who knows? And another really bad loss that also is a big hit on one man's career is Texas losing to Florida. That's another bad loss. Dropped him out of the AP top 25. Arch Manning looked horrendous. He looked really bad. Things were looking up for him going into this game. Everyone thinking it was going to be a very winnable game. It was going to be the game that Arch Manning was going to have his comeback. But no, he was horrendous. Sacked 6 times. I think that was the number. Just it was all because of the ball was being held way too long. He just never looked comfortable. I think it's just the amount of pressure that's on this kid because it's the last name and everyone expected him to be so good. Texas was going to be a college football playoff contender, national title contender. But they have not looked great really all year. I mean, they looked good at some points, but again, those were the buy-in games. You score 7 points against OSU. You beat San Jose by 31. You only beat UTEP by 17. And then Sam Houston, you absolutely demolished, which you should because that's a bye game. And then they faced against number 6 Oklahoma. Their season, I think, if they lose that game, I don't know because there's top 6 rank, but if you lose that game, I think your hopes are completely shot for the college football playoffs. I mean, I think it's already done now, but I think Arch Manning also needs to take one more year because again, everyone's talking to him about going very high in the 2026 draft. But I don't know after this year because I feel like his stock has taken a major hit this year. And that's something to watch out for. So we'll see. I mean, I don't expect much from the Longhorns the rest of the way. Um, yeah, I don't see much, but I think the top 2 teams are night and day better than everyone else. Ohio State is a buzzsaw. They're obviously, I think, my pick as of right now to win the college football playoffs and win the Natty. They're insane, beating Minnesota by 39 points, which is crazy. Minnesota was 3-1 going into the day. Yeah, they're demolishing, and Miami's another insane team. They beat Florida State by 6, and I think Miami's also a great team. I mean, I think those two are the top 2 night and day better, but again, you have Alabama still around there, try to make some noise. You have Oklahoma who's gonna make some noise. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a good. And then looking at Saturday schedule for next week, which we'll talk about in next week's episode, another great couple games in the top 25 right now. You have Alabama going to Missouri, which is going to be a great game. OSU going to Illinois, which is going to be another great game. Shocking that OSU is favored to win by almost 15 points. I don't know about that. Illinois is a good squad. And then the other games, really, I think Oklahoma and Texas, that's going to be a good game. It depends on how Arch plays and that offense plays. And then Michigan, going to California to play USC. That's going to be another good game. And Arizona and BYU is going to be another good game. But I think the slate is for the early time slots are going to be the best games. I mean, that Alabama Missouri game is going to determine so much in the AP top 25. That's a game that I'll definitely be watching and I'll be tuned in. And we're going to actually just take our first ad break. And I want to also shout out the show of the week, which is the Iona Gals, and make sure to check out their show every Friday at 11, only on WIUR Radio on YouTube. So shout out to them and congratulations on winning show of the week. And then looking at the WNBA also, I mean, I think the Mercury are kind of shot. I don't think they're going to win. The Aces are just been one of the best teams all year. Second in the Western Conference, only behind the Lynx, who got eliminated early. I think the Aces are going to win. They've won by a combined 15 points in the 2 games. Game 1 was obviously close because game 1 of the WNBA Finals, everyone's going to always play close. But then in the Aces side, again, they got double-digit scores up and down their roster. And I don't think they're going to be beaten. Like Young dropping 32, Asia dropping 28, 14. So she's getting a double-double. And that team is going to win. I could see them sweeping. I mean, if Mercury want a shot, they got to win game 3. Because, again, it's going to be tough to come down from 3-0. But nothing is impossible. But I think that series is also plenty over. And then we'll also maybe talk about today's games as well for the MLB and NFL for a little bit as well, since we got a little bit of time. And it's not discussing just the weekend, but I think we hit all the key points of the weekend with college football, NFL, and MLB. So I think the Phillies are going to bounce back. I think today, I think they're going to hit Blake Snell well. It was just a tough loss. You hit Shohei well in his first postseason start, but again, you've seen Blake Snell a little bit more in the postseason. So I think they're going to come out strong in that game. I could see Bryce Harper doing some good stuff. He doesn't have the greatest numbers against Blake Snell, but I think it's back to being a red October in Philadelphia. So I think they're going to get the game 1 and as I said earlier, I think the Brewers are just going to take the series in 3. I think the Cubs are just way too overmatched for the Brewers. I think I think the Cubs are just way too overmatched. I don't think there's going to be any competition really. I mean, the pitching is sort of struggled. I mean, you got your best pitcher, I would think, in my opinion, on the rotation is Shota Imanaga. So he'll make it a little bit difficult for the Brewers. But again, the Brewers up and down are just a great team. So I don't think, again, it's going to be tough. But then when we go to the NFL, I think this is going to be a very good game. The Chiefs versus the Jags. Chiefs are bouncing back. They look good. They absolutely demolished the Ravens defense, which at the time was hit or miss. But again, dropping 37 on them, their offense looks good again. And I think they're going to give the Jaguars some trouble. Jacksonville has looked really good this year. ETN has played very well. Trevor Lawrence has played very well as well. Brian Thomas has not done anything for that pass game for Trevor Lawrence. Only 180 yards in 4 games and 1 touchdown, only 12 receptions, which is absolutely shocking to me. But again, I'm interested to see what Travis Hunter what side he plays more on. He played, I think, on more the defensive end on last week's game. And I think I don't know, we'll see. Maybe play a little bit more on offense because the Chiefs don't really have a great cornerback. So maybe he'll get something, great corners. Because I know the cornerback 1 is probably going to be on Brian Thomas. So they hope that he doesn't explode. But again, I think that game is going to be very close. Chiefs are projected to win that game by 4 points. I think the Chiefs are going to take that one on the road. I think everyone's going to say at this point, I think the Chiefs are back. Again, I think you're getting a lot of players back. You're getting Rashee Rice back in a few weeks as well, back off a suspension. And everything's going to be looking up for him. And Xavier Worthy is questionable with a shoulder and ankle injury. So I think the Chiefs will be fine. Again, it's a team you don't want to face going into December, going into January, because that's, again, Patrick Mahomes' prime time. And he still owns the AFC until somebody dethrones him in the AFC. Again, obviously, he lost in the Super Bowl last year to Jalen Hurts. But I think it's just night and day compared to what this team really can be as of what it was the first 2 weeks. And I think we can just make sure I didn't miss any key games, but I think we'll be able to wrap it up here. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and everyone for listening. We'll be back next week to discuss the ALCS and NLCS, which should be starting up as well. We'll know what teams are in there. College football playoffs. Again, NHL is starting up this week. It's starting up tomorrow with opening night. The Blackhawks are going to Florida to play the Panthers. The Penguins are going to New York to play the Rangers, and the Avalanche are going to LA to play the Kings. So once those games are officially starting, we'll be able to discuss some of those as well. And I want to thank again everyone for listening and tuning in. We'll see you next week.